Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Rose. So today I'm going to be talking about the best books of 2019. These of course are the books that I read in 2019, not the books that were published in this year or anything of the sort. It's just my subjective list of preferences of the things that I read this year. This is a very exciting video to film because I absolutely love all of these books. Obviously, they are obviously all 5 stars, but among the 5 stars I also had to make a selection. And I'm just going to tell them to you in chronological order, or in the order that I read them. So first of all, The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And this one, oh my god, this one was such a journey. It was really hard to read because it was really tough and also very slow, but that's what made it good. So I don't think that it being slow is a bad thing, but it was a bit tough to get through. But especially because of the content. But at the same time, it's something that kept you wanting to know more, and you got so invested in the mundane life of these people that are talking in the book, and that was really great. I forgot to say that it's basically set in Nazi Germany, and it's about a girl that is on the Nazi side, and she really is fascinated about books, and there's just so much more to it. But basically, it's historical fiction, and the narrator is death, which is a really interesting twist. And I really like the portrayal of death in this book, so that's interesting. Next up, I read Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I mean, this one, you probably know about it. It's basically the second book of a duology, or maybe a trilogy now, I don't know. And it's the second book after Six of Crows, and Six of Crows is about a heist and 6 characters that come together for some reason. And this is the second part of it. And it was really good. I liked it even more than the first book. The first book didn't get 5 stars for me, but this one did. And the beginning, I have to say, was a bit slow, or a bit, where is this going? But the end was worth it. I really liked it. And I loved the relationships that developed between the characters of the friendship or romance or whatever. It was really, really cool. And the move that they pulled was also really clever, which was quite nice. And yeah, overall, I really, really enjoyed it. Next up, I read one that I don't think it would be a favorite for most people, actually. It's The Beast's Heart by Leigh Shallcross. And this one is basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And I think now, it was the first Beauty and the Beast retelling that I've read. Now, this year I read 3 so far, because I absolutely love just the story of it. But this one, I would have to say, is the one that has the least twist to it. The one that is more... like it's set in that era, the same era that Beauty and the Beast is set in, and it's just, but it's so beautiful. The imagery of it, the descriptions, the world, and the portrayal of the Beast is also really nice because he's very demure and quiet, and I really like that. So yeah, really enjoyable. If you like Beauty and the Beast retellings, I recommend it. Next up is The Roses Project by Graeme Simsion. This one, oh my god, I think it's the book that I love the most with. I would have to say, it doesn't say anywhere in the synopsis, but it's about a man that has autism, but he doesn't know it, and it's not even said in the book at all. I think that's one of the things that I also liked the most, that it's something that transpires by the end, that perhaps it's something that he could have and other people around him maybe see it, but if they don't say it either, but it's just something that, but basically it starts with a man just being overly logical and just rational and not understanding social cues and just basically all these characteristics that can develop in someone that has autism, especially a male. And it's just so interesting, and it made me laugh so much how he just, I don't know, how he understood things literally. That was really, really cool. And also how he just approached his life as well. I also took some inspiration because he was just very methodical and efficient, and I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, it made me laugh out loud. It was easy to read. It's impossible not to like the character, even if he's so unlikable at the same time in many other ways. It's just really interesting. Next up, oh my god, another Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I didn't actually know that it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I just thought it was a very famous fantasy series, well known, and that I really wanted to read it because it was like a very well known and liked YA. This is, without further ado, A Court of Thunder and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, it was my first year reading this first book, and can you believe it? I liked it so much that I haven't picked up the second book. Does that happen to any of you? Anyway, I really have to read the whole series, but I loved the first book. It was very YA, and I liked it even more because of it. It just, as well, a bit in the Beast retelling, but I didn't know it was, which actually made it better. Maybe I shouldn't have told you it was. Well... But this one definitely, I would say that it's the one that is the least retelling of all of them. Like, at least it just has... I'm also comparing it to A Curse so Dark and Lonely, by the way. That's the 3 ones that I've read about the Beauty and the Beast. So I would say this one is the one that is least similar, that doesn't follow the exact timeline and trend. It just has some touches here and there. So it's not full spoiler for you if it's not just a story of Beauty and the Beast. Just pretty cool. And I absolutely loved the world. I absolutely loved the male character in the story as well. And yeah, sadly, I could kind of predict book 2 because I had seen some of the twists that I think is going to happen in book 2, because also I got spoilers from Instagram, just from fan art and stuff. But I kind of saw the twist, the second book coming, so there you go, shame about that. But I absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It was gripping. It has some action, it has love, it has tension, it has just description of the world, friendships, really interesting. Secrets, I don't know. I like it very much. Highly recommend. Then, one that could arguably be my favorite book of the year, because this one, I finished this book, and I just wanted to read it again. You know, that really doesn't happen. I'm not a big rereader kind of person, but this one, I just finished it and I wanted to just restart it. And I didn't, because I didn't want to ruin the book by making it boring by just rereading it and rereading it, but basically, it's The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. And this one is just basically a cliche romance, and it's hate to love trope, which I don't like saying, because then it kind of means that then if they start in hate, they will, and I find that that's kind of a spoiler, but I think it has to be said because it's what it is about this book. And the best part is just how well it is done. Like, literally at the beginning, I just couldn't see how it could possibly change from hate, and I'll say that it does, but it was awesome. I really liked it. I loved both characters a lot. I loved the banter that they had between them. That was really, really funny. And also just, I don't know, how everything was perceived from the other person. Then, yeah, I don't know. And there's one scene where everything changes, and if you know, you know. I live for that scene. Anyway, next up is The Humans by Matt Haig. This one is really interesting. It's about an alien that goes into a human body and just basically sees the world through a human body's eyes. And then it's a super intelligent alien, like the whole race of aliens is super intelligent. So they see everything from a very rational and evolved type of view, but more on the evolved technologically and rationally, like not evolved spiritually or something like that. But they see it through those eyes, and it's also really, really interesting because you see the human world, and they question certain things that we just take for granted, and that's very interesting. So I liked that part of it, but at the same time I found that part was okay and it was nice, but it was, by the end, some things change and just suddenly it becomes an amazing book. So at the beginning, well, it's quite short, but at the beginning I liked it, I thought it was fun, but I wasn't dying to keep reading. But by the end, it became one of my favorite books of all time. It was extremely, extremely interesting and very deep, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. I literally just, the second half, I read it the whole night. I just didn't go to bed until I finished it, and I had very special dreams that night. It was very, very interesting. And then finally, the last on my list is A Man Called Aviv by Fredrik Backman. This one, I was expecting to like a lot. And then I read it, and I liked it, but it also was very slow. And it is quite slow. But that's the point of it in some ways. It's just normal life of an old man living. And you don't know many things from the beginning. And then you start getting flashbacks and you start knowing more of the story. And he's basically a very, very, very grumpy man. And yeah, it's just his life in this Swedish town of some sort. I don't know. It was really, really deep, emotional about relationships and family, I guess, and the value of social interaction. And it was, I think that the best thing about this book is the character, Ovi. I don't know, I think that the reader develops kind of love for this character that is very, very deep, especially because he's such a unlikable and grumpy and rude man. But through the book, you're able to see so much further behind that. And I think that gives you a lot of richness into your life. The character is also a man that stands very strongly by some beliefs that he holds and values. And I think that's also very respectable and admirable of him. And the reader, at least I learned a lot through reading this book and getting to know Ovi. So I also highly recommend. I did shed a tear, I think most likely, maybe more than one. But it's not a super, oh, something terrible happens at the end, or it's just the whole life and just, I don't know, it's just about the death and how much happiness there can be in life, and also how much sadness, all in one, and that's just what life is. I don't know, really cool. I liked it. Now, I'm done with the list, but still have to say a few honorable mentions. First of all, Persuasion by Jane Austen. I read it this year. It was absolutely amazing. I love Jane Austen. I just want to read another one now. I only have 2 of hers to read left, which is exciting, and I actually don't really want to finish them all. I do and I don't. And yeah, it was really cool. It was one of the sweetest books that she has, I think, or at least that's the general opinion, and I did find it to be quite sweet. Like all Jane Austen books, I always wish that there were more of the romance in the story, because normally in her books it's always just a lot of story, nothing happens, and then in the end, oh, but all along this person and then suddenly everything develops in the literally last chapter, and then they just get married, and you don't know anything beyond that. But it was really, really sweet, and the way that it was done, it was very unexpected for me as well, so I really enjoyed it, even if you know that it's a romance and stuff. And no, yeah, I didn't really know who was going to be the male interest, because it just seems so unlikely that the first one that you think of could be the one. So then there are many others. Well, there are others that are very strong candidates, so you think that maybe perhaps it would lead in that direction and stuff, and then suddenly, boom! I hope that's not a spoiler. I mean, I didn't actually say anything, but I did say, I hate when people say, oh, and there's a twist in the end, and it just goes in the opposite direction than you expect to, and then you read the book, and it's like, okay, then it must be the opposite of what I'm expecting, and that somehow gives you a clue. So I'm sorry if I did that. I hope I'll try not to do that again. Then next one is Eldest by Paollini, which is the second book in the Aragon series. And so I really want to bring this book out, because I haven't finished the series. I've only read the first 2 books, and I really have to finish it. But I think that the second book is the one that at least my boyfriend, my brother, and the people that I know have read it. They think that it's the worst one for them, because it's the slowest one, because he's basically training and everything. It's about a dragon rider and war in the kingdoms, and there's dwarves and elves and all of that cool thing. But for me, it was the best book. I liked more than the first one, and I think that I'm gonna like it so much more than the other 2. That's why I haven't read them, because actually at the end of this book there is like a lot of war and things like that, and I didn't really like that part, and that was the favorite part of both my brother, my boyfriend, and etc. And they think that, and they say that that's what the 3rd and 4th book are about, more war, and just I didn't like that. I just like the training, in Spider-Man or any kind of superhero movie, or just things where they just suddenly, they don't have powers, and then they find their powers or something, and then they train, and it's like a freaking 15-minute part of the movie. That's my absolute favorite part of the movie. I live for those 15-20 minutes, or that just super high training sequence. I like that. Or Karate Kid, and suddenly he trains like hardcore and just he gets super OP. That's same thing. I just live for that transformation, and this was what this book was about. So yes, very honorable mention for this book. And then finally, my last one is Geekerella by Poston. It's a Cinderella retelling, and in modern age, and it's really, really well done. I like it. It's just, I wouldn't say it's an awesome book. It's just really cute book, and that's what I read it for. And it's just basically modern retelling of Cinderella, but the girl is geek, and there's just this whole thing about a geek movement and strength and unity between, just this notion that you can be weird, and then among weird people everyone understands, and you can just be whoever you want, and that unites people, and that's the geek community sort of. And I thought that was very heartwarming, and it just made me want to be even geekier than I am. And yeah, I thought that was really, really nice touch, and I really liked it. And otherwise it was a cute rom-com of sorts with a Cinderella twist. So yeah, that's all for now. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you have read some of these books, please let me know what you thought about them. Did you also like them or not? I would love to know just how other people's taste is compared to mine, and whether I made good recommendations for you guys or not, and whether they were accurate, because I think that it's important to say why you think this book is good, and then why you would recommend it, so the person can actually choose, okay, that would be for me or wouldn't. I don't think I actually did that very much. I will try to become better at it, but I just hope that this was useful and enjoyable. See you next time. Bye!